In this video, I'm going to take you through how to rank on Google for an absolute beginner. So if you know nothing about SEO, this video is for you. And the reason I'm doing this video is because I put a poll out on my channel and around 55% of everyone that responded said, I want a video on SEO for beginners step by step. Now, this video is going to be a bit different to my other videos. It's going to be a little bit less edited, and it's probably going to be a little bit longer than normal. But if you really want to understand SEO, I would highly recommend you watch right through and understand the entire framework which SEO operates within, and hopefully a lot of things will become a lot clearer and you'll find the process easier. First, before I do anything else, what I want to cover is something that I see quite a lot, and I would imagine if you are a beginner in SEO, this could be really confusing. You may have seen YouTube videos or other content that talks about how I ranked my website in 24 hours. You may see other videos or documentation that says it can take up to 6 months to improve your website ranking. Now, both of these things can actually be true. And the reason they can both be true really boils down to one thing, and that is competition. Just imagine if there wasn't a single website in the world and you posted your website up onto the web, it would rank number one. If there was 100 websites, then an algorithm has to determine which one should rank first and which one second, third, and so on down to 100. And some of the ranking factors you have direct control over and others you don't. So I could do a video, which I have actually done, on how I ranked a website in 24 hours. And also if I'm working with companies in a consulting aspect, I do tell them, depending on their situation, it can take 6 months to improve their website rankings. And both of these are true, and it's due to competition. And before we dive into the actual algorithm, I just want to show you a quick example of what I'm talking about. If you go over to SEMrush and you put in the keyword Nike, down here, there's this factor here called KD. It is the keyword difficulty. Effectively, it's the competition. And as you'd imagine for Nike, it's 100%. So if someone wanted to open a new store and they're selling Nike shoes, the chance of them being able to rank for the word Nike, near on impossible. However, if they sold running shoes, and maybe running shoes for kids, so the keyword best running shoes for kids, have a look down here, you're looking at keyword difficulty in the low 30s, low to mid 30s. So this kind of site, if I was building a business around this, I could probably have this ranked within a couple of days. So when people talk about, I ranked my website in a couple of hours, they're talking about really easy, low-hanging fruit. And the 6 months, this is very difficult stuff, and you have to really optimize your site heavily. If there's no competition, you really don't have to do any keyword optimization. You're just going to rank. Hopefully that puts a bit of perspective on SEO in general and how you could be confused depending on how much information you've watched out there or read. Anyway, now let's take a look at the actual algorithm. The way this video is going to work is I'm going to take you through each of the Google algorithm ranking factors and how you can target getting that top percentage score for each of the factors. Just to help you out a little bit, and you can maybe take a screenshot of this, I've also put together a definitions of the algorithm factors here. So if you want to screenshot this so you can come back to it and also understand it a bit better, maybe I'll go over it too quickly and you need a bit of a reference, take a look at this, that will help. Okay, so if we start at the top, and I am going to go counterclockwise here, we're going to go from the lowest around to the highest ranking factor. So if we start at the start, 1% of the Google algorithm for SEO is related to schema markup and structured data, and the other 1% at the very top here is other factors. Now, other factors we're not going to worry about because we actually don't know what they are, and the structured and schema markup, for a beginner, I'm going to say don't worry about it. It is beyond beginner SEO, and because it's only worth 1%, it's not worth delving into. I have done a video previously on schema markup. You can take a look at that, but it's for 1%, it can be quite a lot of work. So we're going to start with this one here, the Site Security and SSL certificate. Now this is a no-brainer. You can get this 2% straight out of the gate. And in fact, in 2023, you will probably get that 2% straight up anyway. So if you're not sure what that means, basically in the simplest terms, if you go up to your browser and you have a look on your web page, if you are seeing HTTPS here, that means that you get that 2%. So in 2023, nearly all e-commerce and most websites enforce SSL certificate anyway. So that's a real easy one. Tick. Let's move on to page speed. So with page speed, it's around 3% of the ranking factor, and anyone can really achieve a top result here and try to get the full 3%. And the way I'm going to sort of demonstrate this is based on a website. So the site I'm going to use is this one here called theshop.pet. I have no idea who owns it, but I'm going to use it because it was dropped in the comments. So if it is your store, what I'm going to go through today is probably going to help you a lot. And if anyone else out there has an e-commerce store, everything I'm going to say is probably going to apply to it as well. If it's not ranking currently on Google, this is going to help you out. So with this store, with respect to this page speed we're going to take a look at, the best way to find out whether your page speed is okay or not is to actually put it into Page Speed Insights, which we will do now. So don't worry about all the links and all the pages I'm going through here. I will leave them all in the description if you want to use them. It's up to you. It's really easy. It's just pagespeed.web.dev, and I've entered in the website here. I'm just going to hit Analyze. So this test has just been completed. You can see the performance here is 52. So there could be some plug-in or maybe some other customization that's been done, because that does seem a little bit on the low side for such a basic site. But if you look at the desktop version, it's running at 90%. So the desktop version's fine. Maybe the mobile, it might need to be have a look a little bit deeper as to what's going on. And the thing with mobile is if it doesn't sort of render under 3 seconds, you do have a problem. You can see here this first contentful paint, sorry. It's saying 2.6 seconds. So it's still okay. It's not in the worst category. So, I mean, you're probably going to get at least half, if not more, of the ranking factor based on the results we're seeing here. And to be honest, because it's only 3%, I wouldn't worry about, for this particular site, doing a great deal of work on it. I did review this site earlier in the year. I did a bit of work with the owner, who is named David, and what he had here initially was quite a heavy video that was running on load, and it was preventing the page from loading, which is going to cause major problems on mobile and on desktop. So this has been changed to an image, and if you actually did this test now with this image, it actually improved the page load speed dramatically. So what impacts page load speed? Mainly images and JavaScript and plugins. The things that most consultants will tell you to do is optimize your images. So on this site here, there is this image here. There are these image here also that are loading. Typically, if you're using an agency or a professional SEO to modify your site, they will use image compression tools. Converter can compress your images. Tiny PNG is another site that can also do it. And basically, best practice these days is to convert them to what's known as a WebP file. And they're really lightweight and they load quickly. So I think with page speed, the takeaways are here is do the test, check what your ranking is. If you have a problem, the first thing to do is check your images. And if it's not your images, if you have loaded plugins, whether it's WordPress, Shopify, typically it will be related to those plugins. So if you have plugins that you are not using, the first step would be remove them. Next is our internal link. As a really simple example of internal links, I've got this site here which is called mangojuice.app, and it has a whole heap of AI blog content on it. If I click in any one of these, I scroll down, there's a couple of internal links. We've got a link across to another page here called Make Money with AI Programming, and another link off to another article. And I also have another link here. So this page has got multiple internal links on it. And by doing these internal links, you can get your 3% for the internal linking ranking factor. So next on the list is our mobile-friendly, mobile-first website. So again, if we take the example of the shop.pet, one way to check whether it's working okay is actually to use an emulator. So if you use the browser stack tool, you can actually load up any type of mobile device, and this is live, and have a look what it's going to look like. So I've just put in the shop.pet here, and we can scroll down and we can see how this is actually working in real time. And if your website is throwing errors, or it can move a little bit left, a little bit right, and it doesn't render correctly, then Google may not rank your site on the mobile. And it's important to note that Google ranks mobile devices separately to desktop. So in summary here, if you want to get your 4%, ideally have your mobile site load in under 3 seconds, and also make sure it is fully mobile optimized. Now, if you're using Shopify and any modern WordPress theme or modern website builder, you're probably not going to have a problem there. It's sometimes a bigger problem on old sites. Now, just out of interest, if you do want to know what framework the website you are looking at, or inherited, if you like, is being built with, you can actually use this site called builtwith.com. And if I just put in the shop.pet here and look it up, there's a whole bunch of details I can get on it. So I can see what analytics and tracking have been installed onto the site. And some of these things, in some instances, can slow the website down. So it's worth sometimes taking a look through this. I can tell it's a Shopify site because it's using key Shopify tools. This is a really good tool. Also, if you want to check out what your competition may be using as their framework, builtwith.com gives you a lot of insights. And I'm not going to cover it all here, but it's just a good site to know about. Okay, so we can probably give ourselves a tick here. We have covered mobile friendly and mobile first for 4%. Now, up until now, with all of these factors, these are things that we can go away and do right now. Even if you are a beginner, you can do these things. But the next one fits into a different category. This is not something you can go and do right now, which is why, depending on your competition, you may need to put some work in to get this over time. And if we go down here to our definitions, we can see that with trustworthiness, this is about building trust with your audience and search engines through reliable and accurate content. So trust signals like reviews, testimonials, and authoritative references can really help. So what are some of the things you can actually do right now to help build that trust over time? I've got a couple of things here just to take note of. So you want to have an official business name. You want to have an About Us page on your site. You do want to have a social media presence, and you want to have detailed policies and details on your business operations. If we go back over to our demo sort of example store here and scroll down the bottom, you can see there is a refund policy. So big tick for that. Privacy policy, terms of service, and contact information. But there isn't an About Us. So there's nothing there to sort of details and a bit of the backstory and that type of thing. To wrap up trust, I would say it sort of makes sense. It's ensuring that if someone comes to the site, it's a legitimate business. They're transparent in what they do and who they are. And if you can do that, you will get your 5%. Okay, moving on to freshness. Now, this is actually a new ranking factor in 2023. And if we scroll down a little bit, we can take a look at the definition so we're all clear on what it is. Freshness, keeping your content up to date and relevant, can positively impact your rankings, especially for topics that require current information. So freshness is something that you should be able to achieve. Underpinning that is you have to have content to have fresh. Now, if I look at our store here, there is basically no content whatsoever. So again, this is a massive red flag. There is no content on this site. You can't refresh it. So in terms of Google's ranking, that 6% for our example site. Actually, we'll undo that. We'll do it in red. They're not getting any of that. That's just not going to happen. An example of a site that does have content and keeps it fresh. If we go over to Mr. Lux again here, it's a great example. If you go to the blog, you will see new content going in fairly regularly through at least the early part of the year. And I guess there's only so many things you can talk about with beard care, but the next thing you would want to do if you're the owner of this site, and David, that's you, is actually to go through and update this content. And that's what freshness is about. It's going back in here, doing an update, making sure the links are going to the right products, and also putting a twist on it. If something's changed or something new you can add to it, that's what it's about. And actually, there is some research that shows that just by updating your store, your site, your content once a year, it can give you around 5% boost in your 5 position boost in your ranking. So if you have a site and you have content and blog content, refresh it and you should get a bit of a boost. That's a very easy thing to do. Next, let's take a look at user engagement. Okay, so user engagement, this is a massive ranking factor. It is 11% of the algorithm's estimated score. And we can take a look at really what the definition of that is here. So we've got user engagement. This is how users interact with your website, and it looks at bounce rates, the amount of time people spend on pages. That's how far they scroll down. Are they reading it? And click-through rates through to other pages. Now, this can definitely impact your ranking factors. So, it's basically the usability and intent of people landing on the site that they thought they were, and when they get there, does it meet expectations? If we go back up here a sec, then I can jump over to a site called Hotjar. Now, if you would like to know what people are doing on your site, Hotjar is a great way to find out. It's totally free. You can install it. What it does for each of the pages, it effectively gives you a heat map. So as the color goes from red through to blue, this is how far on average people are scrolling, and it'll tell you the data. X amount of people scroll this far, then they scroll this far, then they get to the end. So if no one's going past the very first screen they see, you've got a major problem. Now, I'll show you 2 examples. If you landed on this site here and scroll down, guess what? There's just nothing there. You're going to bounce straight off this immediately. I guarantee it. But if you land on this site here, the Luxurious Bastard, you're going to say, oh, this is interesting, especially if you're looking for this kind of product. There's some images going on. It tells you a little bit about what they do and why you should care. And then, a range of products. You've got reviews here somewhere, and then it goes on, right? So it keeps you interested. You're probably going to have a much lower bounce rate than the other store, and people are going to click and get more information. So when it comes to user engagement, if you're building a site, I would recommend go and have a look at some top e-commerce stores, and they will give you a good indication of what you need to do. And in addition to that, use tools like Hotjar and Google Analytics to actually paint a really good picture and get a baseline and then work from there. So user engagement, this is not something you can usually fix straight away. This is something you need to work on and optimize. Let's move on to niche expertise. Now, this is not a new factor, but it is becoming more important. And if you don't know what it is, let's just have a look at our brief definition here. It is demonstrating expertise in a specific niche or industry through your content, and it can help establish your website as a reliable source. In order to do this, this can take quite a bit of work and quite a bit of time, but at 14%, it's definitely worth doing. Now, I have done videos on niche expertise, and really what this comes down to is hub and spoke or pillar and topic clusters. You may have heard those terms. As an example of niche expertise, if I go over to my demo site that I've used in a number of videos here, we're back on mango juice again. This is an example of niche expertise because every piece of content is linked to the other content. It's telling Google if someone wants to know about what you can do with AI, this is a great site to go to. You can how to make money with AI, make money with AI systems, with our applications, techniques, advancements. And when you click on one, it also gives you some options to look at other AI sites. So this is an example of building clusters of content about a topic and going all in and very deep on that content. And it's not something you can do quickly, but at least in 2023, there are tools that can help write content and build that content around your specific niche. In wrapping up niche expertise, it does take time. this is not something you're going to get your 14% overnight on. So it's more of the medium to long-term view, but the best time to start is right now. If you want to learn a little bit more about it, maybe Google hub and spoke content or topical clusters with pillars. I've done some videos on that. And I would suggest you go basically all in on building helpful, useful content that people read and they get some value from. Really that's what this is about. You've got to demonstrate expertise. And like I've said before, nearly everything to do with Google's ranking makes total sense. If people like your content, find it useful, they will read it. That also then links to the user engagement. So these are usually interrelated, but they've been sort of segmented out. Anyway, enough on niche expertise. Next, we've got backlinks. Now, backlinks are definitely not my area of expertise, and I will give you a couple of ways which I have been able to secure backlinks with e-commerce and also with SaaS type apps. This is the long game, and it does take quite a bit of effort and expertise to get this 14%. So if you're in a very competitive niche, you are going to have to learn or get these backlinks to get your site to the top. But if you're in a less competitive, like a low competition sort of niche, you may not need to worry about backlinks. With the first e-commerce store I started, I couldn't get backlinks. What I ended up doing was I used this firm called Brand Featured, and for a couple $100, they wrote a publication for me, like a 1-2 page document as a press release, sent it out. I got a couple of hundred backlinks from that. So if you are struggling to get some backlinks and you're in e-commerce, and it does work for other online businesses as well, these guys are worth trying. For a site like this, I think it would definitely be worth the money to spend a couple $100 and get some of those backlinks to help get part of that 14%. The other thing you can do, if you're in the SaaS type business, you may or may not have seen this product I recently developed and launched called Converter. You can see here there's been 40 or 50 people, whatever, have interacted and voted for this product. And as a result, there is a lot of businesses and a lot of websites that are going to pick up on Converter itself, and it's going to be republished in a lot of places. So just by going through the effort of this process, I'm probably going to pick up anywhere between 100 and 400 backlinks, and I haven't paid for any of it. And I haven't had to have sit on podcasts or meetings and write articles for other people. So that's sort of two options of my own experience. Backlinks fits into the category is it's not easy, it can take time, and it can cost money. The next one we want to look at is keywords in meta title tags. This is worth 15% of the ranking factor, and it is base level, easy stuff, but I see so many people that do not bother to do it, and then they ask, why is my site not ranking? And basically because you have not done the basics and you have to put in a bit of the work, but this is really easy. So if we look at what this really means, let's jump over to our demo site here and just see if they've got these keywords in their meta title. Now, I use a tool called Detailed SEO. You may have heard me talk about it before. I'll put a link down there somewhere. It's totally free. And once you've installed in Chrome for any website, you can take a look at the meta titles. So for here, it's given it a tick. This is our meta title, Premium Pet Accessories, the Pet Shop. Now, pet accessories, I guess that probably does cut it. You could possibly do some more keyword research and find something that maybe ranks a little bit easier than just pet accessories, but it is there. Interestingly enough, the description has been completed, but it is too long. This doesn't meet Google's requirements. It needs to be around that 160 characters, so it's about 90 over. So in terms of the main page here, we do have keyword in the title, but if we go to the catalog page and click on it, we have just products, the pet shop. Now, this does not tell Google anything about the page nor what's on it. So this is a problem, and I see this over and over again, and it's really easy to fix. You just go into Shopify, click on the page, scroll down to the bottom, and it tells you what you would like your meta title and your meta description to be. In WordPress, there is a similar process. You can use Yoast or one of the other plugins. Basically, for every single page on your site, you need to have the title and the description filled in and include your keywords. This is worth 15% of your ranking factor, and this is just basic stuff. If I click on a product, for example, here, and I've not done this in advance, so I don't know what's going to come up. So what has come up here, though, I can tell this is the default. Maybe I can show it another way. If you look at what this title is here and this description, I'll bet it matches this exactly. So what Shopify does is if you don't give it a meta title, it will use the product title as your meta title. And for the description, you can see this says ensure the safety and comfort of your pets, blah, 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 blah. That's what the description will be because no one's bothered to update it the way it should be done. So it's really important. Doesn't matter whether it's e-commerce, SaaS, or any other site. You do need to have a look at your titles, your descriptions, and use your keywords so you can tell Google what's on the page, what's it about, and when people land there, it's what they expected. Even though it's 15% of the algorithm, there is not a huge amount to talk about. That's all it is, but so many people do not bother doing it. If you haven't done it, do it. Another thing, just while we're on it, here's a bit of a tip for you. If you go to advanced, I think it is, if I click on this here, it'll show every single published web page for this domain. So let's take a look what comes up. See, it's got site colon the shop.pet. There are 111 pages published, and I will bet nearly all of them don't have the correct meta title or meta description. So if you own the site, you've got some homework if you want to actually rank on the first page. Okay, so to wrap up our keywords in our meta title tags, basically it's really easy, but so many people don't do it, so don't skip it. You need to update the meta title and meta description for each page on your site. Doesn't matter whether you have 50 pages or 500, you need to do this. And consider using detailed SEO Chrome extension because it's really helpful, just as you have seen. The next topic, and it is the biggest ranking factor of all of them, and most SEO YouTube channels focus on this heavily, including myself, because it is 21% of the entire ranking factor, and that is consistent publication of high quality content. And in 2023, I guess it hasn't been any easier, except the bar has gone up. The quality of the content needs to be on point. It needs to provide value. It needs to have quality images. If you are not proficient at writing content or using those kind of tools, I would suggest you hire a copywriter. For this site here, our pet shop, this needs extensive content. I would say I would start doing between 3 and 5 blog posts a week, and I would start covering all the different topics around pet accessories. And you will find that this site will then start getting some traffic. Now, you also have to cover off all of these other ranking factors, or as many as you can, because pet accessories is going to be quite competitive. But content is something that you can go away and start working on. Now, I've got a point here around high quality images. Now, some of the tools these days, you can tick a box and include an image, but images are so subjective that I think if you really want to engage your audience, you need to select images that work really well with your content. And it's not something that the AI can just produce by looking at it. And the AI images I've seen are pretty bad. So I think, write high quality content, use top quality images, add takeaways or FAQs. They're really helpful and can give your content a boost. Add links to other pages and use lists or do blogs that include comparisons, this kind of pet accessory versus another, or different brands, that type of thing. But get a bit creative. High quality content, it can take a lot of work. The benefits are it will drive traffic. It's cheaper than running ads, and it pays off in the long term. Now, as this is targeted towards beginners, if you have not generated content or know what it takes to generate content that ranks, it really could be useful if you use a tool like Surfer SEO. I do use it. This is the only sort of tool I use to help really optimize content. There are a lot of tools out there that can write content, but there are very few that can really dial it in terms of generating a piece of content that is highly likely to rank in your niche. So if you haven't tried Surfer, maybe check it out. If you would like to sort of have a North Star, if you like, something that will guide you right through it, I did write this course a little while ago, and I have updated it. In fact, a few weeks ago, a bunch of people did sign up and used it, and I got some really good feedback. So I've gone back into it and invested some more time and updated it. It normally sells for $997, but in the first couple of weeks after this video is released, I'm going to make it $49. So if you'd like to take a look, there'll be a link in the description. There's about 40 topics that it goes through. And obviously in this video, I can't go through every topic in detail, but this goes through in a lot more detail. And I think one of the real assets of this in terms of the feedback as well is this SEO masterclass checklist. There's about 70 line items in it, and it tells you just basically you can start ticking off the exact things you need to do to optimize your site. But anyway, totally up to you. Take a look, use it, don't, whatever, it doesn't matter. I hope you got some value from this video. It's taken a little while to put together. If you did, really appreciate it if you give it a like. Consider subscribing to the channel. If you've got feedback, leave it in the comments. And if I can make a better video, I will. But thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.